Okay, let's bring in CBS News senior national security correspondent Charlie D'Agata. Charlie, you have some new reporting that the U.S. appears to be sending more military resources to the Middle East. Tell us what you know.
Yeah, Liz, significant military resources and assets to the Middle East. It's the Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group. So it's the aircraft carrier. But when we talk about strike groups, it also includes a number of destroyers that launch Tomahawk cruise missiles, of course, the F-18 fighter jets that are on board the Abraham Lincoln. It's important to note that it is moving from the South China Sea to the Middle East, Indo-PACOM, as the military calls it, to CENTCOM, Central Command. That is notable for two reasons. First of all, this will be the first time in a long time that a carrier has not been in that region, that sort of has an overwatch of China and all of that incredibly large territory. It's also one of the first times that the Middle East has not had an aircraft carrier in that region. And until that carrier gets into position, we're in a position where you have a carrier in neither of those command areas. So what this does is it gives the United States and President Trump, should it come to that, options. Because if there are going to be attacks, there's going to be retaliation. And it's been said that nothing gets the attention of the Iranians more than an aircraft carrier. So we'll be keeping a close eye on exactly where it's going to position itself. We have to keep in mind that the last time the United States attacked Iran attacked back with a sustained bombardment of the Al Udeid airfield, the largest military base in the region. And when those decisions are made about exactly the scale and the targets in Iran, that is what this enables the U.S. military to have multiple options in case of retaliation.
Now, Charlie, we just heard Iran's exiled crown prince call on the international community to help equalize the playing field, in his words. If the U.S. does decide to intervene, do you know what that would look like and to what end? We talked a little bit about this yesterday, but maybe it's changed today.
Yeah. It has changed today. You know, when we talked yesterday, we talked about Iran's neighbors who were kind of imploring the United States to wait, hold off for just a second, you know, literally hold fire. We're talking about Israel, Saudi Arabia, the Qataris, others in that region, because Iran has threatened that we're not just going after the United States if we're attacked, we're going to come after you too. So the idea of sending in an aircraft carrier, as I mentioned, this is about force protection too. You know, there are somewhere between 30,000 40,000 U.S. troops throughout that region in the Middle East, including around 2,000 in nearby Iraq that are certainly within reach of Iran. So yes, can the United States strike Iran at any time? They don't even have to wait for the carrier to be there. Do they have the will to do that? And have they thought about the consequences should that happen? That is where we are right now. And I think that's one of the reasons that military planners said, look, by the way, we're really low on aircraft carriers. We've only got 2 out there at the moment, and they're taking that Abraham Lincoln into the Middle East. That is a significant move, which sort of gives the indication there's messaging involved here, telling Iran we're putting an aircraft carrier and that carrier strike group, including the destroyers, more fighter jets in that region. It certainly is a forward posture for the United States, and might foretell at least signaling or messaging to the Iranian regime that we are here and they're prepared to fight.
You mentioned Israel briefly just there in your last answer. I'm curious what their strategy is during all of this. Are they waiting to see what the U.S. is going to do and then how they would react?
Well, Liz, you know, as we've seen in the past, a very good example was when the United States launched Operation Midnight Hammer. You may recall that 12-day war was before that, and largely that was for Israeli airstrikes to decimate Iranian air defenses, which would at least allow U.S. bombers and F-22s and fighters to get in there, to escort them in there. So that does work in tandem. However, the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu reportedly has told President Trump, well, wait a minute, maybe we should just take a look at the landscape here. So there are operations that happen in tandem between the United States and the Israeli military. The Israeli military will call their own audibles, and they're looking over at what's happening in Iran. And I think the biggest concern regionally, not just for the United States, but regionally, is increasing volatility in Iran, because they have to be looking at day 2. If they strike target A, B, C, and D, what kind of repercussions is that going to have on the region? Obviously, the Israelis have had a lot of complex issues with Iran, to put it lightly, and they are right there center stage for whatever may happen. So that is why the communications are taking place, and normally, and will be the case now, the U.S. military will be in consult with the Israelis when it comes to stepping forward with whatever strike package they're determining.
Charlie D'Agata, always great to talk to you. Have a great weekend.